Have you ever reached a moment in life where you felt like everything was falling apart? Where the weight on your shoulders seemed unbearable? Where every door slammed shut and the people you thought you could rely on turned their backs on you? In those moments, the voice of despair whispers, "It's over. Nothing will change. You are stuck here forever." But I came to tell you today with unwavering conviction, do not believe that lie. Trust God. He will fix your situation. When you look at the ruins of your life, God sees the blueprint for restoration. When you see chaos, God sees order. When you feel hopeless, God is preparing a breakthrough that will leave you speechless. There is a truth that cannot be shaken. God has never failed, and He will not start failing with you. Your situation may look impossible. Your bank account may be empty. Your health may be weak. Your relationships may be broken. Your mind may be heavy with worry. But listen, God does not ask you to solve what only He can solve. He asks you to trust Him. Trust is not passive. Trust is active faith. Trust is saying, I may not see the way, but I know God has the way. Trust is declaring, though I am surrounded by storms, I know God will calm the waves. Trust is standing firm when every voice tells you to give up, and still believing that God will fix it. Do not let your present trouble deceive you. Do not let your pain make you blind to the power of God. The same God who created the heavens and the earth, who spoke light into darkness, who separated seas and raised nations. This is the God who is watching over you right now. Your problem may be big, but God is greater. Your enemies may be many, but God is stronger. Your resources may be few, but God owns everything. When you lean on Him, you will find that what looks shattered in human eyes is only a canvas for His miracle. Some of you are living in silence, carrying secret burdens that no one knows. You cry in the dark, smile in the light, but inside you are weary. You are asking, why is this happening? When will it change? Does anyone care? I assure you, God cares. God has seen your tears. God has heard your prayers. And God has already set in motion the answer. The delay is not denial. The waiting is not rejection. The silence is not abandonment. Trust God. He will fix it at the right time, in the right way, with a result so perfect that you will understand why He made you wait. When you fix your eyes on the problem grows bigger. But when you fix your eyes on God, the problem shrinks in comparison to His greatness. Some of you are chained by fear. You keep replaying what could go wrong instead of believing in what God can make right. Fear is the enemy of trust. Fear whispers lies. You will never recover. You will never succeed. You will never be free. But faith anchored in God declares, my destiny is in the hands of the Almighty. My future cannot be destroyed by fear. My tomorrow is safe in His plan. God has never abandoned those who trust Him, and He will not abandon you. Even now, God is working behind the scenes, even when you cannot see it. He is aligning circumstances. Even when you cannot feel it, He is strengthening you. Even when nothing seems to move, He is preparing the shift. That sickness that looks final is not final with God. That failure that seems permanent is not permanent with God. That betrayal that broke your heart will not stop your destiny with God. Trust Him with every detail of your life, and you will see that He takes what was meant for harm and turns it into good. Stop trying to control what you were never meant to control. Stop worrying about what you cannot change. Stop exhausting yourself with questions that only God has the answers to. Instead, surrender. Lift your heart and say, God, I trust you. Even if I don't understand, I trust you. Even if it hurts, I trust you. Even if I cannot see, I trust you. That act of surrender is not weakness. It is the greatest strength you will ever know. Because when you let go, God steps in. When you stop fighting battles that are not yours, God fights them for you. When you lay down your burden, God carries it with His power. Remember, these situations change, but God does not change. People may fail you, but God will never fail you. Doors may close, but God can open new ones no one can shut. Enemies may rise against you, but God can silence them with a single word. Trust Him. Trust Him when the night feels endless. Trust Him when the valley is deep. Trust Him when the storm is violent. Trust Him when nothing makes sense. Because trusting God is never wasted. And sooner than you think, you will see with your own eyes that God has fixed what no human hand could repair. There are moments in life when everything inside you screams to give up. Your strength feels drained, your mind is clouded, your soul feels crushed. But let me tell you this truth. When your strength ends, that is where God begins. The hand of God is not shortened. His power is not limited. His mercy is not exhausted. You may look at yourself and say, I am weak, I am broken, I am nothing. But God looks at you and says, you are mine, and I will raise you up. That is the essence of trust. Believing that though you may fall to the ground, God will lift you higher than you were before. Do not allow your past mistakes to imprison you. Too many of you live with guilt and regret, thinking that because you failed yesterday, you have no future tomorrow. That is a lie designed to keep you bound. God is not finished with you. If He woke you up this morning, it is because your purpose is still alive. God does not define you by your failures. He defines you by the destiny He placed within you. Trust Him to take your broken pieces and create something so beautiful that people will look at your life and know only God could have done it. When you trust God, you stop begging for scraps of approval from people. You stop chasing after things that cannot satisfy. You stop kneeling before problems that are smaller than the one you serve. Trusting God gives you a boldness, a peace, and a courage that nothing in this world can steal. The storms may rage, but your heart is calm because you know who holds the winds. The battle may roar, but you stand firm because you know who fights for you. The future may be unknown, but your steps are steady because you know who guides them. Some of you are in a wilderness season right now. Nothing is moving. Nothing seems to grow. You feel forgotten. But listen, the wilderness is not a place of abandonment. It is a place of preparation. God is shaping you in the silence. God is training you in the waiting. God is removing what you don't need and strengthening what you do. And when the appointed time comes, you will step out of that wilderness stronger, wiser, and ready to walk into the blessing God has prepared for you. Trust Him in the wilderness, because the wilderness is the doorway to your promised future. Do not envy those who seem to rise without God. Their success may look flashy, their lives may appear easy, but without God, it is an empty crown. What is built without God will crumble. What is achieved without God will wither. But what is planted in God, no man can uproot. When you put your trust in Him, your foundation is unshakable. Your blessings will not be temporary, they will be eternal. Your victories will not be hollow, they will be complete. God will make sure of it. Trust is tested most when God is silent. Silence is not absence. Silence is not neglect. Silence is a test of whether you believe in His presence, even when you cannot hear His voice. Do you trust Him enough to keep walking in the dark, knowing His hand still holds you? Do you trust Him enough to keep praying, even when the answer hasn't come? Do you trust Him enough to keep believing, even when the evidence around you contradicts the promise inside you? If you can trust Him in the silence, you will see Him in the breakthrough. God's wisdom is higher than your understanding. Sometimes He closes a door not because He is punishing you, but because He is protecting you. Sometimes He delays a blessing not because He has forgotten you, but because He is perfecting it. Sometimes He allows the storm not to destroy you, but to teach you how to rise above it. Trust that God sees the whole picture while you only see a fragment. What you think is a setback is often the very thing positioning you for your greatest advancement. And hear me well, God does not need ideal conditions to fix your situation. He does not need people to agree with you. He does not need your circumstances to look favorable. He does not need resources in your hand to provide. He can create rivers in the desert. He can bring light out of darkness. He can make a way where there is no way. Do not measure the possibility of your breakthrough by the size of your problem. Measure it by the greatness of your God. Some of you are trapped in worry, and it is stealing your peace. Worry changes nothing, but trust changes everything. Worry drains you, but trust empowers you. Worry blinds you, but trust opens your eyes to possibilities you never imagined. Worry keeps you small, but trust lifts you into the greatness God designed for you. God never created you to live as a prisoner of anxiety. He created you to walk in freedom, strength, and faith. The only key to that freedom is trust, deep, unshakable trust in God. The time has come for you to let go of the excuses. Stop saying, "I can't because it's too late." With God, it is never too late. Stop saying, "I can't because I don't have enough." With God, He is your enough. Stop saying, "I can't because I am not qualified." With God, He qualifies the unqualified. Stop saying, "I can't because I am too broken." With God, brokenness is the very material He uses to show His power. Trust Him, and you will see that nothing can stop His hand from moving in your life. There are seasons in your life when the weight of hardship feels unbearable, when no solution seems near, when people's words cut deeper than swords, and when the silence of your nights feels louder than the noise of your days. But even in those seasons, I urge you, do not turn your eyes away from God. For in the silence, God is whispering strength. In the pain, God is shaping purpose. In the delay, God is preparing a greater blessing. than you ever imagined. What you call burden, God calls training. What you're calling, God calls beginning. Trust Him. He is not finished with you yet. So often we measure our hope by what we see in front of us. If the bank account is low, we say there is no hope. If the diagnosis is bad, we say there is no hope. If people walk away, we say there is no hope. But hear this clearly. Hope does not come from circumstances. Hope comes from God. The same God who provides for the birds in the air and clothes the flowers in the field has promised to sustain you. Your circumstances may change daily, but the God who holds you never changes. He is the anchor that keeps you steady when everything else shifts. Trust Him beyond what you see. Some of you have been asking, why is this happening to me? You think your pain is punishment. But no, your pain is not punishment. It is positioning. God allows certain challenges to come into your life, not to destroy you, but to place you where you need to be for His plan to unfold. If Joseph had not been betrayed by his brothers, he would not have reached the palace. If Daniel had not been thrown into the den, he would not have been lifted before kings. Your current trial may be the very road that carries you into your destiny. Trust God, because He is working through what feels unfair to bring about what is beyond fair, His divine justice and favor. Stop comparing your journey to others. Some are rising faster, some are succeeding sooner, some are celebrated while you are ignored. But comparison is the thief of trust. God's plan for your life is not a duplicate of another person's. Your timing is not their timing. Your path is not their path. Trust that God knows exactly when to open the door for you. If you try to force it, you will exhaust yourself. If you try to copy others, you will miss your unique blessing. Wait on God. His timing is perfect. When He decides it is your season, no power in this world can stop what He has ordained for you. Many live in bitterness because of betrayal. People you trusted broke their promises. People you loved turned against you. People you supported abandoned you in your weakest hour. But hear this: trust in God will heal what human betrayal has broken. Do not give bitterness the power to poison your heart. Release them, not for their sake, but for your own. For when you trust that God is your defender, you stop seeking revenge. When you trust that God sees every injustice, you stop worrying about human judgment. And when you trust that God is your avenger, you can walk in peace knowing that no betrayal can cancel His plan for you. Trusting God is not only for the big things. It is for the small things too. Every detail of your life matters to Him. The conversation you had today, the thought that troubled your mind, the decision you must make tomorrow. God cares about all of it. He is not just the God of miracles. He is the God of daily bread. He provides in the little, so you will have strength for the much. Too often, we trust God only for the dramatic breakthroughs, but not for the ordinary steps of life. Learn to trust Him in the everyday, and you will discover that even the small things align perfectly when He is guiding your path. Do not be deceived by temporary setbacks. A delay is not a defeat. A closed door is not the end. A fall is not final. Trust God enough to rise again. The righteous are not those who never fall. They are those who trust God to lift them after every fall. Life will push you down, but God will raise you higher. Life will strip things away, but God will restore with abundance. Life will test you, but God will reward your endurance. Trust Him when you are down, for it is only a matter of time before He places you on higher ground. When fear surrounds you, remember that God is greater than every fear. Fear looks at the storm, but trust looks at the one who commands the storm. Fear magnifies the problem, but trust magnifies God's power. Fear paralyzes, but trust propels. Fear whispers, "You can't," but trust declares, "With God I will." Do not let fear have the final word in your life. Replace every fearful thought with trust. Say to yourself in the middle of the night, "God is with me." Say in the face of uncertainty, "God will guide me." Say in the midst of lack, "God will provide for me." This is how you win. By placing your confidence not in what you see, but in the God you serve. And let me remind you, trusting God is not weak hope, it is unshakable confidence. It is not a wish, it is an assurance. When you trust Him, you are not crossing your fingers and hoping for the best. You are standing firm on the guarantee that God does not fail. His promises are unbreakable. His will is unstoppable. His love is unending. When you trust Him, you are saying, "I know my life is in the safest hands, and those hands will never let you go." When life presses you to the ground and you feel as though your prayers rise no higher than the ceiling, that is when you must anchor your soul in the unshakable truth that God hears, God sees, and God answers. Do not be fooled by how things appear. The silence of heaven does not mean the absence of God. He is nearer to you in your valley than He was when you stood on the mountaintop. Trust Him, because what feels like delay is often God's way of preparing you for a blessing so great that you could not handle it if it came too soon. There is a hidden strength that comes only when you put your trust in God. It is the strength that keeps you walking when others quit. It is the peace that steadies your heart when others lose their minds in panic. It is the courage that allows you to face giants that everyone else runs away from. Trust in God does not make life easier, but it makes you unbreakable in the face of hardship. You may bend under the storm, but you will not snap. You may stumble under the weight, but you will not collapse, because the power that holds you is not your own. It is God's. Let me speak to those who feel forgotten. Perhaps you look around and it seems as though everyone else is advancing while you remain in the same place. Doors open for others but stay locked for you. Opportunities find them but bypass you. Listen closely, you are not forgotten. God has written your name on the palm of His hand. He has marked your life with divine purpose. What He has ordained for you cannot be stolen, delayed, or denied by anyone. Trust Him, because when the right moment arrives, He will lift you so high that the years of waiting will look like nothing compared to the glory of the blessing. You must also understand that trusting God requires letting go of the need to control. Control is rooted in fear. Fear that if you don't manage everything, it will fall apart. But trust says, even if I don't understand, I believe God holds it all together. Release the steering wheel of your life. You are not the driver. God is. The more you fight to control what is beyond you, the more you tire yourself out. But the moment you surrender, you step into supernatural rest. That rest is not laziness. It is confidence in the one who never sleeps, never grows weary, and never miscalculates. Some of you are living in cycles that repeat over and over. Financial struggles, broken relationships, inner battles that never seem to end. And you wonder, will this ever change? Yes, it will. When you shift from depending on yourself to depending on God. Your wisdom cannot fix it. Your strength cannot carry it. Your effort cannot resolve it. But one touch from God can break cycles that lasted generations. One command from God can end years of pain in a single moment. One whisper from God can silence storms that have tormented you for decades. Do not underestimate what happens when you place your full trust in Him. Trust is not built in comfort, it is built in crisis. Anyone can say they trust God when the sun is shining and the path is smooth. But real trust is forged in the fire of adversity. When you lose what you thought you could not live without and yet still stand, because God sustains you. That is trust. When every resource dries up and you still say, God will provide, that is trust. When every voice says, give up, and you declare God is still in control, that is trust. Trust born in the fire carries a power that cannot be shaken because it has been tested and proven. I want you to see your pain differently. Do not despise the nights you cried, the prayers that seemed unanswered, the doors that stayed closed. Those were not wasted moments. They were molding moments. God uses the weight of struggle to build the muscle of faith. He uses the silence to sharpen your hearing. He uses the waiting to teach you patience. And He uses the battle to train your hands for victory. If you trust Him, every tear you shed will water the ground of your future harvest. Every disappointment will set the stage for greater appointments. Every loss will be the seed of greater gain. There is a danger in trusting in people more than in God. People may promise to stand with you, but their strength is limited. People may say they will never fail you, but they are human and frail. When your hope is built on others, your foundation is fragile. But when your trust is anchored in God, nothing can shake you. People may abandon you, but God will never abandon you. People may betray you, but God will always defend you. People may misjudge you, but God knows the truth of your heart. Put your trust in Him, and you will never be left ashamed. Do not allow the enemy of your soul to convince you that your situation is beyond repair. There is no damage too deep, no mistake too great, no wound too severe for God to heal. He is the mender of broken lives, the restorer of shattered dreams, the rebuilder of ruined foundations. You may see ashes, but God sees beauty. You may see ruin, but God sees restoration. You may see an end, but God sees a new beginning. Trust Him to rewrite your story in a way that no human hand ever could. And let me tell you this, trusting God is not just about believing He will fix your situation. It is about believing that He will make it better than it was before. He does not simply patch up the broken, He makes it new. He does not just return what was lost, He multiplies it. He does not only close wounds, He leaves you with scars that testify to His power. Trust God not for a small repair, but for a complete transformation. He is not the God of half measures. He is the God of wholeness, abundance, and overflow. When the storms of life rage, many run seeking shelter in places that cannot protect them. Some run to people, hoping for comfort. Some run to wealth, hoping for stability. Some run to distractions, hoping to escape. But none of these can fix the storm inside you. Only God can speak to the winds of your soul and command them to be still. Only God can take the chaos around you and replace it with a peace that cannot be shaken. This is why your first step in every trial must not be to lean on your own strength, but to fall into the hands of the Almighty and declare, I trust you, God. You alone are my refuge. A trust in God is not weakness. It is the greatest strength a human can carry. The world teaches you to rely on logic, calculation, and self-reliance, but logic cannot explain how God opens a door where there was only a wall. Calculation cannot measure the provision of the one who owns all creation. Self-reliance cannot carry you when life strikes with a force stronger than your will. But trust in God lifts you beyond logic, beyond numbers, beyond human capacity. Trust says, even when I cannot add it up, God will multiply it. Even when I cannot see it, God is working it. Even when I cannot fight it, God is conquering it. Many are afraid of surrender because they think surrender means defeat. But when you surrender to God, you step into the highest victory. Surrender does not mean giving up, it means giving over. It means handing your burdens, your fears, and your broken pieces into the hands of the one who can fix them perfectly. It means saying, God, I cannot, but I know you can. And once you release control, you make room for God's power to move. Trust grows where surrender begins. Some of you are battling thoughts that keep you awake at night. Voices of doubt, whispers of fear, lies that tell you nothing will ever change. But hear me, those voices do not have the final authority. God's word over your life is greater than the lies in your head. God's promise to you is stronger than the fear that grips your heart. Trust in God silences the noise of despair. When you declare, I believe God above all else, every lie begins to crumble. Fear cannot dwell where trust lives. Darkness cannot remain where the light of faith shines. You may be looking at a mountain that seems immovable. You have tried everything, yet it stands tall. But trust in God does not ask you to push the mountain. It asks you to believe that God can move it. Your role is not to figure out how. It is to believe that He will. And when God moves what you thought could never shift, you will know without doubt that it was His hand, not your effort. The pro-victory. Mountains tremble before His power, seas part at His command, and time itself bends to His will. What makes you think your situation is too hard for Him? Let me remind you, God's timing is not our timing. We live by clocks and calendars, always counting days and hours. But God lives beyond time. He knows the end from the beginning, the future from the past, the unseen from the visible. What looks late to you is right on time to Him. Sometimes God delays not because you are forgotten, but because He is arranging every detail so that when the blessing arrives, it will be undeniable that it came from Him. Trust His timing. When He opens the door, it will be so perfect that you will say, had it come sooner, I would not have been ready. Had it come later, I would have missed it. But God brought it at the appointed time. Trusting God also means believing that He can take even the worst chapters of your life and turn them into testimonies. Do not despise your scars. They are proof that you survived what was meant to destroy you. Do not hide your wounds. They are reminders of God's healing power. Every trial you endures is shaping you into a living testimony of His faithfulness. One day, someone will look at your life, hear your story, and their faith will rise. Not because of what you did, but because of what God did through you when you trusted Him. Some of you think your prayers are too small for God. You hesitate to ask because you believe He is too great to care about your daily needs. But I tell you, God is both the God of galaxies and the God of details. He who sustains the stars is the same one who provides your daily bread. He who governs nations is the same one who counts every hair on your head. Trust Him not only with the monumental battles, but with the smallest matters of your life. He delights when His children trust Him fully in all things great and small. Let me speak to those who are tired. You have fought battles for years. You have prayed. You have hoped. And still the struggle continues. You feel drained as if nothing will ever shift. But I declare to you, your waiting is not wasted. God is storing every tear, recording every prayer, and counting every step of endurance. At the right moment, He will pour out a blessing that makes every season of struggle worthwhile. Do not give up now. You are closer to the breakthrough than you realize. Trust God one more day, one more prayer, one more act of faith. That one act may be the key that unlocks your miracle. And here this God does not only fix situations, He transforms lives. You may think the answer you need is a change in circumstances, but often the greatest miracle is the change God works inside you while you wait. He uses waiting to build patience. He uses trials to produce endurance. He uses pain to deepen compassion. When you trust Him, you emerge not only with a changed situation, but with a changed heart, stronger, wiser, more resilient, and more anchored in His presence than ever before. When everything in life seems overwhelming, when the weight of your trials feels heavier than you can bear, remember this God has never abandoned you, and He never will. What looks impossible to man is always possible with God. He is the one who parts seas, breaks chains, and opens doors that no power on earth can shut. Your situation may look broken, but in the hands of God, even broken pieces become a masterpiece. He is not limited by your resources, your past, or your circumstances. He is the unlimited source of strength, hope, and restoration. So stand firm in your faith, even when the storm rages, because storms do not last forever. Trust God, and He will turn your pain into power, your fear into courage, and your tears into testimonies. Do not let doubt steal your peace, for the same God who created the universe is working behind the scenes for you right now. He is aligning people, opportunities, and blessings in ways you cannot yet see. Lift up your head, strengthen your heart, and keep your trust anchored in God alone. For in due season, the very thing that was sent to break you will be the platform on which God lifts you higher. Hold on, because God is faithful. Trust Him, and He will fix your situation, not just in a small way, but in a way so great that you will look back and say, surely it was only God who could have done this. You are stamping His authority into your reality. You are reminding the universe that you are not alone, that the God who created every door also holds every key. Do not underestimate the power of repetition in faith. Many people whisper prayers once and give up. Many cry out for a moment and then retreat into doubt. But when you stand boldly and declare again and again, God is my way, God is my strength, God is my deliverer, you are pressing against the gates until they cannot resist. You are declaring to your heart that fear has no room. You are declaring to your enemies that defeat has no hold. You are declaring to your future that it must align with God's divine plan. Beloved, your voice carries weight when it is filled with faith. The world was created by the voice of God, and He has given you the power to speak into your own reality. Do not waste your words on complaint, on worry, on fear. Use your words as weapons of faith. Use your declarations as keys of authority. Use your voice to unlock the destiny God has already prepared for you. There are doors of healing waiting to open for you. There are doors of provision waiting to open for you. There are doors of peace waiting to open for you. There are doors of breakthrough waiting to open for you. But God is waiting for your faith-filled declaration. God is waiting for you to rise above silence, above fear, above doubt, and to declare His power boldly. When the walls of Jericho stood before the people of God, they did not fall with human strength. They fell because the people lifted their voices not once, not twice, but with continuous declaration until the walls crumbled. The same principle applies to your life. The walls standing before you may look strong, but when you declare God's power 3 times with fire in your heart and conviction in your spirit, you are telling those walls, you cannot stand against the authority of God. Do not be deceived into thinking your situation is permanent. The enemy wants you to believe that the doors will never open. But I declare to you today, those doors are trembling at your faith. They are shaking at your words. They are cracking at the sound of your declaration. When you rise and declare 3 times, God is my way, God is my strength, God is my deliverer, you are not just speaking, you are commanding in alignment with the King of the universe. Let me ask you, how long will you sit before locked doors without speaking? How long will you cry in silence while the key is in your tongue? How long will you accept delay when God has given you authority? Your words are not ordinary. Your words, when filled with faith in God, carry power. They can open what no man can close. They can release what no hand can bind. They can shift what no force can move. Now I want you to picture your greatest locked door. Maybe it is a financial burden. Maybe it is a broken relationship. Maybe it is sickness in your body. Maybe it is anxiety in your mind. See that door clearly. See it locked before you. And now rise in your spirit and declare with me, God is my way. God is my strength. God is my deliverer. Say it once. The chains begin to rattle. Say it twice. The hinges begin to shake. Say it 3 times. And watch the door swing wide open before you. Then listen closely, because what I will speak now is not to stir your emotions alone, but to awaken your spirit. The door before you is not greater than the one who created you. That door of resistance, that barrier, that delay, it is not stronger than God. It only looks intimidating because you are seeing it through human eyes. But when you look with the eyes of faith, when you see through the lens of God's greatness, the door is nothing but a fragile lock waiting to be shattered. Every locked door in your life represents a test. It is a test of whether you will trust in your own strength or lean fully on the power of God. The doors are not shut to harm you. They are shut to prove what is inside of you. God allows the doors to be locked so that you may discover the authority He has placed within your spirit. God allows the walls to rise high so that you may discover that your declaration, rooted in faith, can bring them down. It is not about the size of the door. It is about the size of your God. And when you call on Him with boldness, when you declare His power with your whole heart, then nothing in the seen or unseen can stop you. Let me speak plainly. Faith is not silent. Faith is not passive. Faith is not hidden. Faith speaks. Faith declares. Faith roars into the darkness until the